God, I look grey today. Got no colour in me.
We are live.
Woohoo.
We are live. So, hello everybody. Welcome to this week's Coffee Club in the Seventh Dimension. I am just going to go and try and see. For some reason, I don't know if you find this when you go live, that actually trying to find the live whilst you're live is really hard.
Yeah, I can see you. When you go live, I can see it. But when I do something,
I can't see me at all. Keep reaching for my mouse and it's not here. Got my hand out here doing a fiddly thing and it's not there. Let me try on my computer. It says I'm live. There we go. I got it. I got it. Yeah, I got it on my. Can't get it on my phone, but I have got it on my computer. So I'm just going to tag people. I'm going to try and tag people
so they know we're here.
so they know we are here. For anybody that's looking, hopefully it will show up. This kind of this little bit of it is a little bit it can be a little bit hit and miss, I find. So today, another coffee club. So just as a tiny little intro, Sarah and I went through the Akashic Prosperity Academy last year, and as well as clearing our own records, also certified to be practitioners to help other people do the same. So, and the kind of the reasoning behind this live every week is for us to share kind of what life is like since clearing and how we're navigating the day-to-day stuff that comes up. And you would think there wouldn't be that much to talk about, but somehow we manage to have a conversation every day, don't we? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Which is pretty magical.
It is really magical. And then you realise how much is going on when you talk about it, because you see it much more. Whereas before you wouldn't have put, if things had happened, it's definitely the negative stuff, you'd have put it down to all the, the bad things, but there isn't any negative things to talk about, really.
Well, it's kind of like, I think you get sucked into it, don't you? You just get sucked into whatever it is that comes up, whatever might annoy you or piss you off or trigger you or send you into some emotion that's we deem as negative. And just kind of go, oh well, that's life. But actually now it's kind of like, oh, why is that happening? What's it here to teach me? What do I need to learn from this? And how can I practice each time surrendering and not being resistant to the stuff that comes up? Would that be fair?
Yeah, it's that thing of not being triggered by it. If something comes up, it's not to be triggered by it. Or if you are, like you say, to go, wow, okay. And when it's that feeling in you, and once you release it and you acknowledge it, it's not in your head. It's not eating away at you, that is such a release.
It is, and it's actually, just before we go on, there are 2 people joining us live. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us live. It's always lovely. We're not just talking to each other, although we very much enjoy talking to each other. So it's not a big what's it.
Yeah.
If you want to give us a like, a love, a hello, a comment, any questions, I'll try and keep an eye on any comments. I just have to switch backwards and forwards on my laptop because my phone doesn't want to catch up for some reason.
Yeah, and I left my phone in the other room because it was playing up. So
yeah, that's okay. Let's get another little look. Dun, dun, dun. No, still not on my phone at all. So, because I was thinking about this today, and it's not that stuff doesn't come up, is it? Stuff comes up.
Yeah.
It does for anybody, but it's actually in the difference is in how it affects you, how you respond to it, and how you see it.
Yeah, for sure. The things that like I said, you would have triggered, would have put you in a negative state, would have eaten away in your head,
Yeah.
don't anymore. It's not that they don't show. For example, the other day something came up and it really hit me hard here, and it was that feeling of just so much noise in my head all of a sudden, and it took me probably half an hour to see what it was, because I was going around the house feeling really quite grumbly. And then I looked out into the garden, which is where I love to connect, and it just suddenly hit me that actually that little grumble that happened, that I was poked, I was so grateful, because it made me think that's how that person felt, and now I can. It's not me that feels it, it's how that person felt, and it was just went straight up.
Yeah.
Because when you're in that zone, you think it's you own it, you are that grumble, and
We take it on board easily, don't we?
Absolutely.
And then get stuck in it. And then what used to happen to me was that you'd be having that conversation in your head over and over and over again, trying to figure it out and trying to probably put the blame somewhere else. Not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It shouldn't happen. My fault. Why did they do that? Why did they do that? Oh my God, why did they do that? And now
they're going to say this, and you're going to say that.
I used to be able to keep that conversation going for days.
Yeah, I know. But when it happens now, so the other day, I could feel, I mean, it was like suddenly been hit by a bus. It was like, ooh, and it just felt really heavy and negative. And as soon as I just went, oh yeah, it was the lightness afterwards, the contrast was unreal.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I've been reading this series of books called Allow Your Soul to Lead. And it's a channeling of a collective through somebody, and it's very much about that you need the contrast, you need kind of like the darker element, if you like, for want of a better word, which is the ego, and the lighter element, which is the soul, because if you're not given a contrast, and you can't choose.
No.
So it's this ever evolving daily thing where you choose love over fear, because love is all to do with the soul and the light body, and fear is to do with the ego, keeping you safe, keeping you in your comfort zone, and also, which is triggered daily by the news and the conversations that people have around you, your environment, which is it's super important to have an environment around you that supports where you want to go, rather than keeps pulling you back where you don't want to be.
In the early days, in the early days, I remember, protecting myself, putting a seal on my heart chakra to make sure I felt protected. It's not that I don't do that now. I don't mind the triggers, because there's a lesson. Whereas before I was like, I don't want to be triggered. Don't, like the Dalek, don't trigger me. And it was, but now it's actually, I don't want to not feel the triggers. I don't mind the triggers, because in it, one, I can see there's a lesson. And two, in actually, vocalizing this now, I realize how much of a journey I've been on.
Yeah. And that's it, isn't it? Everything's a progression. You don't just suddenly go from one state to the next. It's a progression. You have to practice things and stay aware and allow things to develop. And it's truly is a magical journey, definitely. Yeah. So the other thing that we wanted to talk about today was, Sarah is a reflexologist as well. and I am a Bowen therapist. And this week we did a treatment swap because we do this sometimes. We don't live too far away from each other.
Yeah.
So we had a bit of a bonkers treatment swap, didn't we? So It's amazing how much body work changes when your energy body is that much more to the forefront, aligned. I don't know, what do you know, when you're in flow.
I would say.
Yes. So I had a reflexology treatment with Sarah, and my horse has been having some respiratory problems for the last year, and Sarah was working on my right foot, weren't you? On my right foot, and you said something about my diaphragm being tight, and I just immediately, it came into my head, is that's not mine. That's not mine. That energy in there is not mine. That's my horse's. And he's done this a couple of times before. I think he came in last time as well, didn't he? I had a treatment with you, mine and Sarah's Akashic Records teacher, Helen Morgan. My horse actually contacted her and said that he wanted a treatment from her. So she said she'd just getting this voice popping up in her head that said, "Hey, hello, tell Kat I need the body code." Took her a while to figure out what was going on. So it was really interesting how it, because I said to you as well, didn't I? I said, "Do you think this belongs to me?" And you said no as well.
No, it was very deep. It was very deep.
So can you remember the scar?
Yeah, so the tightness was under your, along your diaphragm reflex. And when you feel tightness, it tends to go along the diaphragm, but this didn't. It was like two bubbles of air, and you kind of work the imbalance. You don't overwork it, but you're working it to shift it so it finds its energy line. And it just didn't want to go. And then all of a sudden, it just seemed to extend, go up under your diaphragm, right up into your thyroid, and then down. But and in doing that, the shape changed. And that's what blew me away. It literally happened, within 30 seconds. So it went, from a really tight knot to two bubbles and then round. And the thing that kept coming to me is stuck. It wasn't stuck in Kat, it's stuck in Dan. And I can't remember the name of it. What did I call it? It's like a scythe. And it was it just went down and then round. And it was just so strong. And holding it, it just went cold. My hands went cold.
Yeah, we were freezing, weren't we?
Yeah, they just went ice cold. And when we do energy work, we don't have to touch the feet. And even just doing that, you could feel it was like somebody had opened a freezer door. And normally when you hold like that, you can hold energy, but there was nothing there. It was just like there was a cold wind blowing. It was the most, but I've got energy whizzing up and down my body now, but it was the most unusual, strong response, I would say.
Definitely. And as the more that I've done this work and the more that I'm kind of opening more into my spiritual side and moving more towards my light body, living from that place rather than this physical body, the deeper the connection that I feel with my horses. And I've been told by other people that we are connected at a soul level. And when I had the light language channeling last week with Darcy, as soon as she mentioned doing it, I saw myself as a Native American Indian sitting on a horse that was the soul of which was my horse now. And I've had a Native American Indian kind of past life experience as well when I was going through my Akashic Records clearing. And it's really interesting to see what happens to him after that. So we had that freezing cold. I went out to see him later on that evening, and he was boiling hot. I mean, he wasn't sweating, but he was boiling hot, and it wasn't that warm out. So it's just really, and it's really interesting, isn't it, how your reflexology treatments are changing in how you were trained to what you do now.
Yeah, I mean, you've obviously been, have all that in training and background, but even the last 18 months, 2 years, the treatments have completely shifted. Because I think I'm in much more flow, is how I describe it. I'm super sensitive now to feeling energy change, and things evolve in people's feet as you're treating them, and then picking up things that you don't necessarily identify on the reflexes the first time round, but something comes to you. So I go back and it's there. So there's this like intuition with the energy that might have 2 years ago gone a bit, I might have been running for the hills in terms of, it's not what I've been taught, this is what you should do, and you need to explain it through medicine. That's just gone that way now. I just absolutely connect in. It's all about flow. That's the most important thing. And it's wonderful. It's not scary anymore. It's wonderful.
And it's realigning it's helping the energy flow in the person's body, which is key to everything, because if your energy is not flowing,
otherwise you're in dis-ease. That's essentially it, isn't it? If you're not in flow, there is dis-ease, and I don't necessarily mean disease. It's your body is in dis-ease.
Definitely. And then you came to see me yesterday at Fort Bowen.
I didn't think it was going to come back at me, but oh my god!
Well, I didn't want to give you any less of an experience than I had. So about I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months after. Was that maybe from the beginning of this year? So it's probably 6 months or so after I cleared my records. I was treating somebody, had somebody on my treatment table, and suddenly I became aware of somebody standing in the corner of the room. Now, it's not as spooky as it sounds. So I don't see things, like it's not like I can see a person standing there, but the information comes in some way that I form a picture in my head. And this person that was standing there in the corner was wearing a white coat and holding a clipboard, and I was just a bit like, well, that's odd. But I was kind of started on this path, and I was a bit like, okay. So and people have talked to me about guides before, about spirit guides, and having, you've got guides around you, you've got teams of light. They're they can be ancestors, and they can just be angels and unicorns and dragons and all kinds of stuff. So I was a little bit like, well, I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but I think the person that was on my table at the time was very open to this stuff, so I might have mentioned it. I was like, well, this is a bit weird. Anyway, over the course of the next couple of weeks, this guide actually introduced herself to me and told me her name was Fleur. And I was kind of a bit like, well, why are you wearing a white coat carrying a clipboard? And she said, well, thought that might make you feel a bit more comfortable. And I was like, well, that's fair enough. I'm a recovering left brainer, so it's probably the case. And then she took off this white coat, and she was like this riot of colour, just swirling and spinning around. I'm going to get to a point in a minute. So the light language channeling last week, kind of, you remember the old ketchup bottles, the glass ketchup bottles, and you'd shake them and the blooming thing wouldn't come out, and then you'd smack them on the bottom and it'd be like all over your plate. So I feel like that light language channeling always, because although things were shifting and moving always, this last week things have been like accelerated massively. So I feel like my ketchup bottle bottom's been smacked, and this has come out, and it's like there's just been the most magical sort of 10 days. So I'm treating Sarah yesterday, and I'm like, and so in the last week or so, Fleur's been in my room every time anybody's been lying on my table, her name's Fleur, been lying on standing in the corner, same corner every time. She's been there every person I've treated over the last 10 days. And she was there yesterday when Sarah was there. But what she hadn't done before was start swirling balls of colour, which is what she did yesterday while you were lying on the table. And then you had your experience with that as well.
I closed my eyes and I could see myself standing in a waterfall, and a man came up with fishes on a stick, and I thought, oh, the fishes are dead. It's like a barbecue. Some sort of kebab. And then the fishes were swimming around me in a waterfall, which I was like looking at them going, well, that doesn't work, does it? But anyway, it is what it is. And I'm telling Kat this, and then all of a sudden, I mean, I can put my hand, I can feel it still, it's here. It was like, so if you imagine people pulling your hair out, but it was nothing like that. It was like all of a sudden I just pictured feathers. Somebody was plucking feathers out of here. And my brain went, you're having a stroke. And then I said, this feels really odd. And it's going tingly all now. So it felt like it was like light surgery. That's the only way I can describe it. Somebody was just doing this and pulling energy or putting energy in. Whatever it was, it must have gone on for about 5 minutes.
Mm.
And I was going, this feels really odd. This feels, I've never ever felt this sensation. I've had energy vortex. I've had tingling, like cold custard feeling of energy going all over me. It's the only way I can describe it. But I have never ever felt that before. And it feels like there's still something going, blah, 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 but
Yeah.
it was amazing. It was amazing. I wasn't, for that split second, there wasn't anything frightening about it. I didn't feel like I had to get up or anything. I couldn't, I don't think, actually, but it was just, oh my God. Yeah.
Well, when I did sit you up, you did look like your eyes were spinning.
Yeah. I definitely felt that was so powerful.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I can't think. I'm sure somebody will tell me.
I don't know whether it's the combination of the two of us, because we've both done this work and that we've shifted in the way that we have, or I don't know. It's because when you left, I was just like, I was completely zonked.
Yeah. I was absolutely whacked for the rest of the day.
Yes. So it's just, I mean, I guess the takeaway this week is that you just don't know what's going to arrive each day, and that's not a scary thought. It's a really exciting thought, because it's like, wow, what is going to happen today?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Even when you get hooked, even when you potentially get a little bit hooked by I don't know, money worries or relationship worries, or the horse is not quite right, or whatever. I mean, actually, it's really interesting, given I've spent nearly over a year worrying about my horse every day, wondering if he's okay. I'm now just like, I just have such a strong knowing that he's absolutely fine, and I don't need to worry about him anymore. And I don't. It's just bizarre. And I haven't done anything to get this. It's just happened by me continually connecting into my records every single day, keeping myself open, choosing love over fear when those things come up, because they do still come up. It's not like, because we still have to live in this reality. So things do come up. But it's just about when they grab you, it's just a bit like, well, I can, it's okay, because I just have absolute trust now. Every day I get more and more evidence to have trust in the universe that it's got my back. Every day.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And that realization that, I mean, these last 12 months have been pretty tricky. But what an amazing journey, really. I'm so glad that I did all this work, because I can't imagine what a pickle I'd have been in if I hadn't trusted.
Yeah.
and believe that everything we go through for a reason, and there's a lesson to be learned. And yeah, love coming from the heart.
Yes.
I love living in my heart space.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I got into bed last night and I was just kind of like, had some numbers running through my head, you know, what's going to happen the last couple of months of the year. And, you know, is there, am I going to have I got the kind of like the income and everything to support me? And then I just suddenly, my dad came into my head, and I was filled with such gratitude and such love for my dad. And with that just came the trust that everything, whatever happens in the next 2 months, will be absolutely perfect, and I will be absolutely fine, and I don't need to worry about it. A deep knowing. But that came from, it was almost like my dad came in just to give me a hug, and he's still here, by the way. He's not passed. And it just shifted me straight away. And those are the things. It's looking out for those things. It's looking out for the when you're in those moments where something comes in to kind of grab you, that because, you know, my brain is still working, and my brain still wants to keep me in my comfort zone and make sure I'm safe. Maybe I need to take my brain out. Maybe that's
Unplug it.
Unplug it. But I've done so much practice of being in the other part of me, the soul part of me, and I listen to it that much more. That's the voice that I look for, not this voice, that it just comes in and takes over. It's like, no, don't listen to that brain bit. That's all nonsense. So yeah,
That's
lovely. It's been a
bad
week. My meditations have just been like bonkers, in a way that I don't have bonkers. You have bonkers. I don't have bonkers, but I'm bonkers now.
Good. Welcome to the crazy world of fish on sticks.
Well, I didn't have a fish on a stick, but I was floating through the air and going into pyramids through the point at the top into the underneath, and absorbing technologies. So
you just made me go goosebumpy.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I think we'll leave it there today.
I think that was amazing. I'm so glad I could share that. It was just,
yes,
reminded me of how crazy that treatment was.
Yes, definitely. And mine too. And the fact that my horse keeps elbowing in when it's my turn.
You're not getting a look in yet. I'm sorry.
He doesn't ask. He just comes in and grabs.
He obviously needed it.
Yeah. Actually, he's from last night. He was much better. He's been very dramatic in the morning. He's got plenty of food to eat, but as soon as it's feed time, he gets a bit dramatic, and he's kind of throwing himself around the field. But he's not. His breathing's much remaining much more, measured, as opposed to him kind of getting a bit wheezy after doing that. So it's good. Yes.
Interesting to see. I bet it's not for us to really understand, is it? We just go
through. No, not at all. He's on his own journey. He's super spiritual for sure. So it's a joy. It's just a joy. It's a joy to be in a place with him where I just have such a deep knowing that he's on his own journey and he's absolutely fine. He's not struggling. He's not suffering. He's just on his own little journey, and I don't need to worry. And that's happened in the last month or so.
Yeah.
And to live from that space rather than the space of like going out every morning thinking, oh God, what's he doing today? And now I'm just joyful from him. I can feel it coming off him as well. He's just having a little bit of a charge around the field. He can do, because it's not so wet now, and fighting, a little bit of fighting with his field friend, which is always funny.
He's loving it, loving life.
each other. Yes, I think so.
Perfect.
Cool. Any last thoughts you want to leave anybody with, Sarah?
Don't actually have to understand it. You just need to trust on this journey that I started. If I talk to anybody now, it's just trust and just go with the flow.
Yeah.
So if I'd have spoken to you like this, 12 months ago, you'd have looked at me and gone, "What are you on?"
Absolutely.
But until you go with the flow,
Yeah,
and have that trust,
yeah,
amazing things happen once
absolutely.
you're in the zone.
Absolutely. And know that what's coming up in your outside world is something for you to recognize about yourself, clear for yourself, a lesson for you to learn, something.
Yeah, it's something in the process.
Once we get into that process. Yeah, and once we get into that space, it's you don't have to squash down what you feel anymore. You don't have to try and not feel it, to try and numb it, because
you don't have
all
to
the emotions become amazing.
Yeah, wonderful. So lucky. Feel very blessed.
Yeah, me too. Super, super, super grateful. So we'll leave it there today then. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will be back next week. You here next week? Next week, good?
Yes, I'm here.
Okie doke. Then we'll be back next week. So we'll see you then. If you're watching on replay, give us a little hashtag replay. If you've got any questions, put those in there. I have a free short guided journey to the Akashic Records. If you want that, just put a comment put a comment under this saying that that's that you want that, or send me a message and I can send you the link through for that. It's free, and we are here to help and support anybody that wants to step on this journey. So all you have to do is reach out in your own time. And if you're getting that little voice from inside of you that says, actually, this sounds like something I want to do, then, as Sarah just said, trust and go with it.
You are here for a reason.
Yeah. Not here on earth, but here watching this.
Yeah.
Well, here on earth as well, definitely.
It's your time. It's your time.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah.
All right.
See you soon. And see you next week. Take care. Bye.